Hi everyone, Lee here from Pedalboards team. Nice to see you. We got some spanking news this week. Loads and loads of stuff going on. And I've still got a squeaky chair. Right, okay, before we go any further, please like and subscribe, like the video and all that sort of thing. It really helps us out. So thank you very much for all of you guys that do that. Right, let's move on straight away. First bit of news is we released a video of the Bliss factory this week, so go and check it out because there's not that many videos out there, and especially not very many just like ours, so go and check that out. Moving on from that, we've got some breaking news for you very shortly, but I'm going to mention the Hydra first from Keeley. So this is super cool. It's like a follow-up to their Echoes pedal, which was a really super really super delay that you could have effects like flanger and that sort of thing onto the repeats. Really, really cool. And this is a follow-up to that. So what is it? Well, it is a tremolo and reverb pedal. It's got both in it, so you're kind of like looking at like the back end of a Fender amp sort of idea, but you've got 3 different types of reverb on it, 3 different types of tremolo on it. Not only that, but you can switch the order of them. You've got 3 different presets on it. Everything's super easy to use. You've got 5 knobs, which are rate, dwell, color, and depth on the mixer as well. But when you go into when you press the middle one, which is the color button, when you hold that in, it gives you secondary options, so alternate controls, and that's then controls the tremolo. And you've got, what does it say, trem sync, wet dry, trem level, and I think the last one's like a reverb mixer, so you can reverb the top. I've got it here, hence why I'm getting close to you there. You've got 2 buttons on it, so 2 foot switches. One's to switch the tremolo on, one's to switch the reverb on. If you hold the reverb, you get like a trail sort of a pad sound as well. There's loads of in-outs on this as well because it's a stereo pedal. The spec says high fidelity stereo reverb pedal and tremolo, obviously. Dreamy and accurate sounding spring plate and room reverb. So they're the 3 different types of reverb you've got on there, and the 3 different types of tremolo are harmonic trem, vibrato, and sine wave trem. So obviously vibrato isn't a tremolo. We know that it's a it's a pitch thing rather than a volume thing. You've got 3 presets, as we've mentioned. There's a remote out, so you can do tap tempo. You've also got an expression where you can express expression out where you can express any of the knobs. Pretty damn cool. They've worked really hard to give this extreme functionality whilst keeping it simple to use. So you're not going to get confused. There's no screens on it, no deep diving. So yeah. Really well done to Keeley, and yeah, I'm super impressed by this. Little note, one of my friends, Roger, he has said that with his, he's managed to get a shimmer type sound out of it as well, so that's pretty cool. Okay, let's move on. So let's get to it. The breaking news this week should just be announced as you're watching this video or as this video goes out, and it is the Victory Copper preamp. So you may have seen last year, Victory announced the Victory Copper, which is their take on a Vox sounding amp, a bit like an AC30. Now you also will be familiar, I'm sure, with their preamps. So the V4s are the preamp pedals, which you can either stick on your board and use it as an overdrive, or you can stick it into the effects loop of your amp and use it so it bypasses the front of your amp. So it bypasses the preamp section of your actual amp. So if I get one of these, what I'll do is I'll plug it into my Marshall, and then when I switch it on, it bypasses the Marshall sound of my amp. So the the EL34s and these sort of things, and it will take over it with the EL84s. Or whatever Martin has used in this to sound like EL84s, and make my Marshall then sound like an AC30. Brilliant. That is it's such a cool tool to do, because it means then you don't have to go out and buy the whole copper amp or an AC30 or something like that. You can just replace the front end of it. You don't have to also go out and buy a whole power amp section to run this. You can just use your power section from your amp. That is so cool. little features on this. You've got bass cut, so you've got 3 different bass modes. Now, the reason Victory do this is they don't go ahead and say this very openly, but every amp this goes into, they want it to work with it. So some amps are going to be bassier than others. So what they've done is they don't want you to put it into an amp that's already quite bassy and for it to blow your low end. So what you can do is you can cut it with the 3 little toggles. So you've got a 3-way switch, and as you go, it's different degrees of bass cut. Really, really nice. And means it'll work with whatever amp you've got. It's got, what are the controls on it? Let's look a little bit closer. So you have 2 masters, and I'll come to that in a second. Overall gain, you've got a 3-way bass mode, as we discussed. You've got tone, you've got treble, you've got middle, you've got bass. So I'm guessing that the tone control is for what we're going to talk about now, which is a treble boost. So it's based around a range master, but it's Martin Kidd's own take on it. It's going to be valve driven, so whoa, valve driven treble boost. That is sexy. And don't quote me on that though, because I could be wrong, but I believe I'm not. So yeah, what we've got there is an AC30 with a range master already built into it that you can add to your own amp. This is going to be big. I can see a lot of people getting this because, you know, you get the flexibility of having an AC30 without having to go down the routes of actually getting one, and that's amazing. I'm really looking forward to trying one of these. Any other information about it? Yeah, you've got your bypass on and off. You can run it straight into the front, or you can run it into the loop, as we discussed. It's 12 volts DC in, so it's a 12 volt pedal. So not normal 9 volt that you would be used to for a pedal, but 12 volts. Most power supplies have a 12 volt out, so not the end of the world. Yeah, looks really, really cool. I don't know until I try it, but I'll tell you one thing that I've got experience of with Victory gear is the tone stacks in them work. And what do I mean by that? I mean, when you turn the bass up, you know you're turning the bass up. When you turn the mids up, you know it's the mids. They're very clear. It's not like, what's the difference there? You know, which you get with quite a few amps. So, yeah, Martin gets really good EQ sections, and yeah, and overall the sound is awesome as well. I've been using the V4 Duchess, which is the full amp. This is the preamp, but the full amp pedalboard amp for about a year now, and it's amazing. It really is. I use it as a regular amp. So yeah, okay, let's move on from that. And this is maybe a little bit left field, but we're going to talk about cables just quickly. Boss announced 3 new types of cables. So Boss have been making patch cables and DIY patch cables and these sort of things for a while now. A lot of people really like them, they really rate them, but now they've made a few cables and it's a bit of a utility thing. They've got the BPC4, which is like their pancake jack style. So it's a right-angled one, but it's very small, similar to square plug. But it does look really, really small, so that would be cool. It would be nice to compare these. Got Boss embedded in it. You've got the BMIDI, so B MIDI PB1. What's nice about this is a you've got the 5-pin MIDI jack, but it's got the option of going straight in or right angle, and you just move a little bit on the back so you can put it either way. So that's going to be a really flexible pedal. It does stick out a little bit like most MIDI cables, but the fact that you can move it to right angle or straight in, that's perfect. That is such a good idea. And lastly, they've got a straight in on one end to right angled on the other end TRS cable. So that's for your you know, your expression pedals and these sort of things. So yeah, that all looks good. You'll see pictures of them next to me somewhere around here. So yeah, that's pretty cool. They have given us an update on their Waza. pedal that they're going to be bringing out. They've been teasing us. I've mentioned it in every video in the last couple of weeks, so I will mention it one more time because I think we're going to get an announcement soon. They've shown us a picture of 3 germanium transistors or diodes or whatever they are. I don't make pedals, and they have said, we've never made a pedal like this before. This pedal will be made in a limited run. It's got to be, goes a motorbike, it's got to be an FZ2 germanium. It's got to be, you know, I can't see it being anything else, but we will see. I don't know. The Boss have kept everyone in secret. They're just not telling anyone. Sorry, my language disappeared then. And lastly, we're going to be talking about Line 6. So they've done an update to the Helix. Now, for those of you who follow us, you know that I do like Boss stuff, and I got the Boss GT1000 Core. It's amazing. It was in direct competition with the Line 6 Helix. So the GT1000 Core has come out almost like in a response to the Helix, specifically the HX Stomp. Because they're both about the same size, both fit on your board, and can integrate with other pedals. It has a lot more slots than the Helix. The Helix HX Stomp only had 6 slots, whereas the Boss had, oh God, I can't remember, it was a lot of stomps. I don't think it was limited. And the Core seems to have a lot more processing power as well, whereas the HX Stomp runs out of processing power if you use too much. It can only do so many things. Line 6, get it rightly. Line 6 has come back at us with that. Sorry, I say come back at us. Come back at Boss with that and said, look, I have some other tricks up my sleeve. So they've now given spillover between patches, which is something that the Core does. They called it true spillover. I don't understand why it's different to what's in the Core, but apparently it is. Who knows? It's me just touching the camera there, very professional. The other thing that they've done is now they've updated the amount of slots that you have on the HX Stomp from 6 to 8. Makes you wonder why they didn't do it in the first place, but it's probably down to processing power. So yes, it's cool that you're going to have more effects that you can put in a row, but remember, the more you put in a row, the more processing power you're going to use. Now, that's not to say in any way, shape or form that the HX Stomp is underpowered. It's not. But a lot of users will start pushing it to its limits, because that's what we do. When we get a toy, we want to see what it's capable of. So, you know, if you're just running 8 normal effects, then, yeah, you're laughing. If you try and run 8, like 4 amps and 4 cab sims in a row, you're probably going to be pushing its limits. Why you'd want to do that, I don't know. So, yeah, it looks super cool. One thing I took from the read-through was if you want the spillover, it looks like you might have to forego your second chain of effects, so you can have 2 chains of effects running at the same time. And what it does in order to do the spillover is it splits the DSP in half, so you can only run the one chain. That could be wrong, but I don't think it is. From what I read, that seems to be the way it's going forward. My compadre, the budget pedal chap, who you can see on our channel, has the HX Stomp. I have the GT Core. We will talk about this and we will compare notes, and yeah, catch us on our live stream, not this Sunday but the Sunday after. So thank you very much for joining us today. It's been lovely to see you, and we'll see you next week. Again, don't forget, like, subscribe and all that stuff, because it means the world to us. Right, see you all next week. Bye bye.